Hi, everybody. I am Valerie Gilchrist, and I'm broadcasting from Augusta, Georgia. My broadcast is Esther's Purpose, and my guest today is Stephanie, and Miss Stephanie Shelling, and I'm going to introduce her to you in just a moment. But what I want to say first is that we are actually on WYTV7 from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I want you to know that WYTV7 is a nonprofit organization that does accept donations that are used for the broadcast nationally and internationally. All of the listeners for WYTV7 are around the globe, and we want to encourage them by our broadcast. So through Esther's Purpose, listeners who have been going through various trials of their life can be encouraged by listening to my guests talk about not only the things that they went through in their life, but also how they came out in victory. So we're excited today to have Stephanie Shelling with me, and I just want to introduce her before I let her go ahead and talk about her life and what she's doing today. Stephanie is a public speaker. She's a consultant and an author of 2 books. The first one, Casting Your Pearls Before Swine. And the second one, Afraid to Live. Now, I love this. Listen, y'all. Confession of a Believer Who Didn't Trust God. Woo! How about that? She is from Los Angeles, California, where she was previously a 911 operator for the Los Angeles Police Department for 15 years. In addition to speaking and writing books, she is the administrator for Noah's Ark Publishing Service, where they provide authors a venue to manifest ideas, images, and dreams into written words. That's awesome. On her way to commit suicide, Stephanie told God that she says, I told God I would give him one last try. How about that? She said she left the life that she had for him. She says that she adds value to the lives of others simply because we are valuable to him. So she's emphasizing we. So as she's talking, she's not just talking about herself. She's talking about all of us. So she says we add value to him. For whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, that we might be the firstborn among many brethren. So she is a true testimony about someone who put God to the test in her life. So we're going to let Stephanie share today. Stephanie, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
I thank you so much for you being here. So Stephanie, before we talk about what you're doing now, we're going to talk about what brought you here to what you're doing currently that we're going to talk about later. So tell us about Stephanie.
So what brought me to where I am now is just having an intentionality about living this life, being a believer. And you know, what I realized is after coming from the West Coast to the East Coast and going to church, I realized everybody's doing the same thing.
Okay.
And I was like, wait a minute. Everybody's doing the same thing. What is that about with a God who is multifaceted? You know, it wasn't just that they were doing the same thing. It's the same thing I've seen for the last 25 years.
Wow. Okay.
That was really what it was. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I know God is bigger than this. He's got to be bigger than this. He's bigger than a program, or, you know, he's not contained, you know. And so I wanted to see for myself what this really was about. Because if I'm honest, I'd been living my spiritual experiences through other people.
Okay.
You know? And comparing, you know, I should do it like that. Oh, okay. Then, you know, because, you know, people look deep, and, you know, everybody want to be deep and, you know, spiritual. And, you know, that seems to give you a sense of having arrived. And it's so not about that.
No, it's not.
So I just wanted to have my own authentic encounter. And so I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what any of it looked like. And so I just asked God, what does that look like for me? For me, because it's different for everyone else. And so I just kind of set out to figure out, you know, let him show me what faith really was. And that that entailed me giving up everything I had.
Right. So
So
when you say giving up all you had, what did you give up to find out who he is?
I I quit my job.
Okay.
I walked into work on a day off and brought them all of their equipment.
Woo.
And I sold my house. I put my house on the market, and I just kept asking him along the way, if this is you, show me this is you. I told him, I said, I'm not going to put my house on, I'm not going to put a sign for sale in the front. I'm not going to do that. I'll put it on the internet. And if this is you, you'll sell it, because there were 6 other houses on my block that were up for sale and had been sitting there for a year.
Wow.
My house was sold in 4 months.
Woo! Okay, there was a sign.
I said, okay, I don't have anywhere to live now. Now you got to put me somewhere to live, So somebody offered for me to stay with them for 6 months until I figured out what I was going to do. And before I knew it, I said, okay, I don't have a job. I don't know what you want me to do. And so one day somebody said to me, well, we know I was going to North Carolina. I had a friend who had a big house in North Carolina, and she said, you can come and stay here until you figure it out. I said, okay, fine, no problem. And then, so my friend said, well, okay, we know God said you can go to North Carolina, but are you saying he can't provide a place for you to stay? And I said, why are you talking to me? Because I'm giving up everything. And you mean to tell me you want me to, so I just went to bed. And I said, I can't, because I'm leaving my daughter, my sister, I'm leaving everybody,
Wow.
And so why can't I go somewhere where I can just be comfortable for a minute? That was my whole thing. I just want to rest. But about 3:30 in the morning, the Holy Spirit woke me up and said, well, go on and look for that place. I said, you want me to look for somewhere to live and I don't have no job? And so I kind of started giggling. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I got my laptop and I started looking. And I was looking at the really big places. And I said, I don't want to live in a 500 tenement, apartment. He said, well, look for what you want. And I said, okay. I said, this looks nice. A fireplace. Oh, a wooded view.
Ooh.
All the amenities, washing. I said, okay, I'm going to fill this one out right here. I was dying laughing because when I got to the part where it says, employment, it kicked me out. And it said, call the office in the morning. So that's what I did. I called the office and I said, hi, I filled out an application online. And she said, is this Stephanie? I never said my name. And I said, yeah. And she said, okay. She said, we're doing your background check. Let me call you back in 30 minutes. And they called me back in 30 minutes. They said, okay, what are you doing for employment? This whole journey of leaving everything, everybody thought I was crazy. My family thought I was crazy, everybody. And I said, okay, God, what do you want me to tell people? Because this is not a good look. And he said, you just tell him I sent you. And I was like, what? He said, you tell them I said, I sent you.
Wow.
Well, I said, okay. So I talked to the lady on the phone. I said, I know this is going to sound crazy to you. I said, but I don't have a job. I don't know what, I said, God told me to do it, and this is what I'm doing. He sent me. So she giggled and she said, okay. She said, well, send me your banking information. I sent her the banking information. She said, okay, we'll hold the place till you get here.
Woo.
So I was done. I had to go. Like, I had to go. Like, I was gone, and everybody was mad because I left without them being able to have a party and I'm like, this is my life. Yeah. Like, this is my life here. I don't have time to try to make everybody comfortable. Like, that was my life, making everybody comfortable, pleasing everybody. And even still, with me doing such a drastic thing, there were people that were in my inner circle that never stopped to ask me what's going on.
Right.
Never. And the Holy Spirit showed me, but if you were in a casket, they'd be falling all over it.
Ooh, and would be.
All over it.
All over it. Now, Stephanie, I want to say this because I want to ask you a question. But before I say that, I want just to remind our listeners that I'm Valerie Gilchrist. This is Esther's Purpose, and we're broadcasting out of from WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we're talking with Stephanie about this great God that has moved her to do some out of the box things. But now, one thing that you said to me, I got to go back to that, is you said you were on your way to commit suicide when God told you to give him one last try. Now, I know when somebody hears that, they're thinking, God didn't really say that to her. And just listening to what you said in the beginning, he's been who he is, and he's giving you direction. But what occurred in your life that you were on your way to commit suicide? What was happening?
Well, as I just mentioned, I was a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know I was a people pleaser because the turning point was, well, there were a couple of things. First of all, I was the baby of the family. My sister was 11 years older than me. My brother was 6 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that had to be done with me in mind. So, you know, you get to an age where you're the baby and you kind of in everybody's way, you know,
okay.
but they can't do nothing unless I can go.
Okay.
They don't want me to go.
Well, that doesn't sound like necessarily a bad spot.
Well, it made me feel like I was in the way.
Okay, so you felt like a burden.
I felt like a burden, number one. So in me feeling like a burden, I always wanted to make everyone happy.
Oh, okay.
And then when my mom died when I was 14, I was instantly thrown into adulthood 101. You know, I had to do everything. And all I wanted to do was make sure my father was, you know, I didn't want to be a problem to him. That was my whole thing. I never wanted to be a problem. Mm-hmm. So in me never wanting to be a problem and wanting everybody to be okay with me, mm-hmm. I dumbed down my voice.
Oh, okay.
I was invisible until someone needed something.
Mm.
And I thought that was love. I really did. I thought that if somebody needed something, you helped them. You did it, you know. Mm-hmm. But what happened was you become a target for an opportunist because they can see you, right? Mm-hmm. And so after taking care of my mom when she was sick, I was a single parent at age 20. After taking care of my father when he was sick, after taking care of my dog when she was sick, after taking care of some of the mothers in the church, mm-hmm. after taking care of my brother when he was a renal patient, I went to work one day and...
Well, now, were you a 911 operator through all of that?
I was.
So you were really pouring out and helping people in distressing situations, and you were really emptying yourself out, but there was nobody to pour into you.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. Not only was there no one to pour into me, but I didn't know someone should. Okay. I didn't know that I needed that.
Okay.
And I did not, and because I never had a voice or asked, no one bothered to see if I was okay.
So when you said dumb down your voice, you meant that, is that what you're talking about? That you didn't know to ask? You didn't feel like you didn't value yourself enough to let anyone know that you had a need?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I didn't even know. My value was helping people. That was my identity.
Okay.
So I didn't know that Stephanie could actually like what Stephanie liked. And if nobody else liked it, it was all right. I didn't know that.
Wow.
I didn't know I had choices.
So there was no motivation in you at all of anything that you were doing, even in serving, that it was any benefit to you at all.
The benefit was I was needed.
Wow.
I was needed. And when there was no more need, mm-hmm. there was no more need for me.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I get that.
Right. So so as I look back, I didn't know this then. I would find areas to insert myself. Okay. You know, you need that. I could, you know, so I'm really good at being 2 steps ahead of you, mm-hmm. and being able to see the need. Okay. And I find that there are a lot of people that way, and it looks very right and it feels very right. How could you not help people in need? Right. But the word says, acknowledge me in all your ways, mm-hmm. and I will direct your path. Right. So you weren't even getting filled with the presence of God to take care of that emptiness and, you know, from that perspective, because I know those of us that are givers, mm-hmm. you know, I had a cousin of mine when I was going through a very stressful moment, trying to figure out some things, mm-hmm. A couple of years ago. And he sat me down. I went to Atlanta to visit my youngest daughter, and he was on his way he took me back to the airport, and we stopped at one of my favorite places to eat, IHOP, and breakfast. I love breakfast food. And he said, and I was just kind of, you know, just kind of moaning with him about,
my life and things. And he said, Valerie, let me tell you something. He said, in life, there are givers and there's takers. He said, everybody is one or the other. Right. He said, and then he's a giver and so am I. He said, let me help you with being a giver, because I said, you sound a lot alike about how I was as far as being a giver all the time and not really valuing myself. And what he said to me was, he said he freely gives with no problem. He said, but if the person that he gives to gives him any indication that they're not grateful, he cuts that right off. And he doesn't give once he feels that person is not grateful. That doesn't mean that they've got to write him a check or keep telling him thank you 50 million times. It's what do you do with the gift that I've given you? Because what the gift is me. I'm the gift. And so I said all that to say, so you didn't even see yourself as the gift?
No. Are you kidding?
Okay. All right.
No. I could never have seen myself as anything good, to be honest with you. I didn't. And that was from years of other words being put into you. Too dark, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that,
Okay, now where'd that come? Was that family, school, friends? Who did that?
School. School.
Okay, because that's what I was digging for. I was trying to find what happened. If you were the baby, a lot of times when you talk to the babies and family, everybody's lavishing love on them and they overprotect them and they're just giving them a whole lot. And your story wasn't sounding like that. And so I wanted to hear, I was trying to dig for, okay, where did this happen? So in school.
Yeah, my parents definitely loved me. My father, but it was school, it was friends, because my sister was 11 years removed and my brother it was almost like I was an only child.
Okay.
Right. So my friends, my peers, and, the boys in school and all that kind of stuff, I was pretty much a loner, but I was the one who everyone came to talk to.
Okay.
So everybody came to me to bounce things off. Even as a child, I remember they would come. Yeah, boys would come to me. I mean, I would get things like, you're a really cool girl. Too bad she can't be like you. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? Know what? Why? Okay. You see me the same way, but I'm a cool girl to talk to, though.
Right.
That type of stuff,
Okay. All right. So I get that. I wanted to see, what that was. All right. Well, so now what I want to do is I want to again remind our audience that I'm Valerie Gilchrist. This is Esther's Purpose, and we are talking with Stephanie and on WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So Stephanie, I want you to tell us now, how did you get from that? Because we backed you all the way up to where that came from. Because I was really interested in, you were at the point of committing suicide.
Right.
Before you had this encounter with God, where you now by faith started doing things and operating in a way that people who didn't feel like you were feeling, because for you to really receive that from God, you have to know that you were valuable enough for him for you to put him to the test like that, right? Because you were really putting him to the test when you said, okay, I'm going to do what you say.
I did not see myself as valuable to him. What I knew was, what I reasoned was, if I say I believe in this God,
okay,
why am I always in fear?
Oh, okay.
Because now I can be your cheerleader and everybody else is, all the way to the finish line. But when it came to me, I fold up against the wall like a folding chair. Okay. It just wasn't going to work for me. But when I really stopped to see what scripture said, my next question was, okay, how come I don't believe this for me? That was my next question.
So link fear to that. Where did that fear come from?
The fear came from disappointment, being disappointed, and again, my father, he was the type of man, all he had was his word. And he always did what he said. But when I encountered other people, I didn't get that. And I was the type of person who will, if I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so there was a lot of disappointment and rejection, so much so to the point that, I'm just like, I'm afraid to do anything. I'm afraid it's not going to come. I'm afraid to trust you. I'm afraid, and then I would internalize that. Why is it happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
I must not be good enough.
Oh, okay.
I must not be good enough. And so why God would you, what am I here for?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a reason for me to be here, then let me go on and exit stage left. But before I do, let me be honest and say, just one moment. Let me be honest and say that I haven't really given you a 100% opportunity. That's not awesome. If I'm living in fear, I'm not.
Right. Because the word of God tells us he did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. So we have to know that when we operate in fear, that's satanic. That is not of God. Right. So that's wonderful that even though in your state of, as you said, on your way to committing suicide, there was still some light in there somewhere. It was not quite that dark. You know what I mean? Where the penetrating light of God could not come in there, because there are those who are, who commit suicide, who go ahead and do it. Oh, yeah. And light, that little bit of light is not there. Yeah. So what do you think? How did that little bit of light, how was it there? Because something caused you to still not make a hard left, right? Because there are many people who have left here because they made that hard left. So what was it in you that you can articulate to us that was that light? Because there was still light out of the corner of your eye somewhere that you could see.
Well, it was me being able to understand that there was something good in me worth saving. I talked people off of the ledge from killing themselves on 911 every day. Mm-hmm. Every day. Mm-hmm. I could speak to their pain. I could speak to their condition. Mm-hmm. And at least until the police got there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I was able to do that. I was able to give wisdom to people. I don't know where it came from. Like, I'm like, where'd that come from? And I know it's God. Yeah. I know it's God. I knew him to be a good God. Okay. So my issue was not him. My issue was me. Okay. And I had to really take responsibility for that. Okay. Like, no matter what somebody said or did or what I chose to believe, I had to say, what is it that I believe this negative stuff so tough, but I won't believe what the Creator said about me. So I had to look and see who he said I was. And he said I was the righteousness. Woo. Yeah. Of him through Christ Jesus. Yes. So I went to go look up righteousness. Like, I really got a dictionary, and I had to start looking up these words because words have evolved over the years. And so I want to know, what did you mean? What was your intention for me? And that's when I began to be able to have some relief. Now
that's what I was digging for. Yeah. How did you get that? Now, that's when okay, in just our last few minutes, I want you to talk about what you're doing right now. Give me about 2 minutes. Okay. What are you doing now?
What I'm doing right now is I'm working on my books, actually, and working on an online course about fear and faith. Okay. I'm also working with a publishing company called Noah's Ark Publishing Service, and we're dealing with a lot of different authors and book signings and getting those things out as well, and working on my speaking engagements. Okay. And just want to encourage the believer that, we've done a whole lot of stuff in church that's not scriptural. It has us really twisted up. And it's okay to say you don't know, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to go back to the basics, because you have to be the one. If I'm going to stand in front of God, I have to be responsible for everything I've done. Absolutely. Can I honestly say that I can be responsible for everything that I've done if I haven't really been intentional about it? No, I can't.
Exactly. And I like that, because we don't realize that we're going to be accountable for every moment of our life. Yeah. Good, bad, and indifferent. We're going to be accountable. That's good. Well, again, I'm Valerie Gilchrist. This is Esther's Purpose, and we're on WYTV7. And we've been talking to Stephanie and just telling us about how the darkness in her life has turned to light by trusting God. When she was ready to give up everything, and gave him, and I love that. God, I'm gonna give you one more chance to prove to me who you are. And that is just so awesome that you could say that. I want everyone to know as well that WYTV7 is on Facebook, and so is Esther's Purpose. Please go on our pages, find us, like us, follow us, share our pages. You'll see the interviews with all of my guests. You'll see them as they start airing in the fall. And we just want you to participate in just hearing these encouraging words, because WYTV7 and Esther's Purpose, we want to make sure that when you're finished watching us, that you have been encouraged and have that, give God that one more opportunity. So Stephanie, we just thank you so very much for your time. You've just been a blessing to us, and we're going to have you back, because we want to talk more about what you're doing, because there's some more things that you're doing that I want to talk to you about. All right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for being our guest.
Thank you.
You have a great day. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.